Well, hello, in person.
Hello in person.
Some kind of magic brought me on a plane from New York to LA, and we're here to party. That was good.
That was really good. Okay, Jessica is here
in person
in the Los Angeles studio. How does it feel to be back in Los Angeles?
Back in your loving arms.
Yeah.
Great. It was a day of travel yesterday, and I still have this very nerdy part of me that, like, when I get on a plane from JFK to LA, I think because that's such a common flight pattern for people who are, I don't know, in entertainment. Yeah, I always think, like, who am I going to see? Like, am I going to see somebody? Is it going to be like, there's going to be a celebrity on my plane?
Was there anybody?
Yeah.
Who?
Viola Davis.
Wait, really?
Yes. And here was the crazy part. Normally I go a little Instagram heavy on flights, like flight days. I end up just like, that's for some reason my...
Like you're scrolling.
My diversion? I don't know.
Diversion.
What's it called?
I don't know.
Anyways, okay. That's what I go to when in doubt or when any boredom sneaks in, evidently.
Yeah.
Not the two actual books that I have sitting there
staring
at me saying, read me. Yeah. So I went on Instagram. And I love Viola Davis's account. She's so inspiring, and I'm always picking up what she's putting down. I love it. Anyways,
also, for people that don't know, she's Shondaland family.
Yes, she is.
Yeah.
Yes, she is. And I just think she's one of the most incredible actors that's ever lived. Anyways, so she did this slideshow of these quotes that I just found so inspiring, so super inspiring. So I had just been looking at them, and really like moved by them, and I was going to repost and everything else. So here's one.
Were you honestly looking before she was on the flight?
Yes. I mean, before the flight, and I actually took screenshots because I was going to repost it. And so here we are, Viola Davis. And one of the first ones was, people who have been hurt but refuse to hurt others in the same way, please never change. People who use kindness as a way of life, not a strategy, please never change. But they were just so beautiful, and I was very moved by them. And then I got up to go to the bathroom mid-flight, and I came back, and all of a sudden she was there sitting there, and I probably looked scared or panicked, or I didn't know what to do.
It's hard.
I don't know her personally.
I know. I don't think we've ever.
No. So
I've never met her. Yeah.
But again, as we've talked about before, sometimes what happens to us is like people, you think you know someone because they just look so familiar in that moment. Yeah. But then I had to say to myself, you don't know her. Don't.
Well, we've just done the boundaries.
So I'm not going to cross the boundary. She's on a flight. I don't should you talk to me. Yeah. So anyways, I went back to my seat, but I couldn't contain myself, and I wasn't with anyone I knew. So I looked at my seatmate, this poor guy, and I was like, "That's Viola Davis," which of course
you're encouraging other people to go up.
No, it was. Oh, but he looked like he could handle it. He didn't look like he was going to jump out of his seat to go talk to her. Like
I love that you're pointing out to other people.
It was radically weird.
I feel like in that situation, because you're Shondaland family, you could say hi. I don't think it's a. You're not going to come as like.
You be me. I'll be Viola Davis.
Okay, I'm Viola V.
We're Shondaland family. I'm not starting that introduction.
Shonda.
No. Oh my gosh. No.
TGIT.
No. Ew. You're No.
We'd be, but you know what? Me and V would be best friends by now. If it was me on the flight, you missed the opportunity
to see what in real life you would actually do. I just want to throw that out there. Like I think, like this is a nice little performance, but I'm saying, what would you really do? I don't think you would.
No. I had to really think. Like, really, I'm passing the seat. And I do continue on walking.
I love her so much.
I continue on walking. You're right.
I love.
I pass. I do a pause. I do a side eye, and then I just keep on going.
Well, I fangirled, and I kept it to myself, and I just continued, flapping my wings to Los Angeles, and then landed, and then got in, and went and had a little quick bite with a friend, and then passed out. Passed out. Not you. I'm very excited about our guest today. I really, really, really love Beanie Feldstein.
We love Beanie. And you haven't worked with Beanie.
No, I didn't get to work with her.
But she's a big Grey's Anatomy fan. We'll talk to her about it. And she was on our show. But we have a million more things to talk to her about.
Hi. Oh, it's so much better having a two-way conversation.
Yeah, it's way more fun. Okay.
Beanie.
Beanie, welcome to call it what it is.
Yes.
Thank you for having me.
Oh my gosh, of course. Where are you right now? Where in the world are you?
I am in New York, and I thought you were in New York, but you just went back to LA.
I came back to LA for this and some other work. And so,
Are you allowed to say what the other thing is?
I mean, I can, but I, for a period of time, lived with my grandma Nina in Missouri. And then I would always spend, tons of time with her in the summers and everything else. She was my beloved. And she would watch maybe thousands of hours of Wheel of Fortune. And pretty much a ton of other game shows and like daytime soap operas, whatever. Anyway, so I've watched at least 500 episodes, 500 hours of Wheel of Fortune. And Pat Sajak, who's the host of that show, is retiring, and Ryan Seacrest is coming in. And they're doing like a celebrity last week with Pat Sajak. And I got this email and I was like, heck yeah, I'll be there. And then all of a sudden it hit me that I have to play the game. And I was like, oh, I was never good. She would guess everything. I would guess nothing. So I'm actually just now like low-key terrified.
Nervous.
Yeah.
This is actually couldn't be a better segue because that basically is exactly how I felt about being on Grey's Anatomy. I was like, this is my actual dream come true. And then I was like, oh, wait, I actually have to act? I don't want to act. I just want to be there. I just want to sit. I just like look at everything. And that's exactly how I felt of that.
And so when you got there, how long did that nervousness last? Or did you just go
the entire time?
Really?
It did?
Oh my God, I was running around. Like, I was thinking about this morning. I was running around like a chicken with my head cut off. And I couldn't have been met with more love and enthusiasm from everybody that works there. I was like, can I go to Meredith's house? Can I go to the OR? Can I look in? And I was like literally having an anxiety attack of joy the entire time. And everyone was so nice to me. And I was also thinking how glad I was to be on it before COVID because I was allowed to like run around and look at everything. And I wasn't like,
were you before COVID?
Right before. So it was like January 2020.
And it was after I was there. So we didn't get to overlap.
I know. I remember.
Well, I wouldn't have been able to, honestly. I wouldn't have been able to emotionally.
It would have been
too much. Wouldn't have been able to, honestly.
Too much overload.
I was grateful to not have any scenes with Bailey because I just wouldn't have been able to do it emotionally. And then at one point, I was filming with the chief, well, the OG chief.
Jim.
And Jim. And they were like, we can't see her. Can we put her on a Bailey box?
Oh.
And I'm like,
you're like, can I take it
Apple
home?
boxes here called Bailey boxes.
And you're like, I get to stand on the same box.
And I was like, I get to stand on her
box.
Because I'm also extremely short.
Yeah.
And doing scenes with a very tall, beautiful man. And it was the best moment of my whole existence, pretty much.
I love that. That's how I came to the show, too. I was already a fan before I came on. So I know exactly how you feel.
Exactly.
I know too much about both of your journeys onto Grey's. You auditioned like 3 times.
She knows the whole story.
You know the story. I know.
I am a super fan. Why do you think I'm here? I love you both, but I also just am a super fan.
Okay, so we were catching up before you came on, and I was sharing that because you obviously are in New York, LA as well, and that when you get on that flight from JFK to LA, how it's always sort of like, are you going to see a celebrity? Because there's so many. If you want to find celebrities, people, they're on the flights from JFK to LA.
I don't want to like out Mark Ruffalo for being a Delta person, but like actually every time I'm on a flight from LA to New York or vice versa, Mark Ruffalo is there. And I've never spoken to him, but I just love him from afar. And I'm like, he's so handsome. He looks beautiful. He's wearing like sort of a lavender scarf.
Oh my God, he's wearing a lavender scarf on a flight?
But he's similarly Delta loyal, and I appreciate it. I see it.
Yeah, yes.
Were you on Delta?
I was on Delta. So I saw Viola Davis. I mean, I almost passed out. So I said I came out of the bathroom, and then we made eye contact, and I don't think she knew. I don't think she did not know who I was. I knew who she was, so I looked terrified, right? Because I'm like, and then I just realized that I don't really know her, so I can't say anything. And we've talked a lot about that, right?
Yeah, Beanie, we've just done this whole episode about boundaries, and we talked about Chapel Roan coming out, right, and saying like, "Hey, I need my space." Do you know this?
My line.
Do you know about this?
Yes, I've seen this.
Yes,
headline.
and there was some discourse around it. We were talking about how we are both fans of people. And then we also, because of the show, have a fandom. And we've talked about the boundaries. So Jessica, in that moment, it was a hard.
Forgot my boundaries.
Forgot your boundaries.
No, that's
no, but then
not
you
true.
remembered them.
I wanted to cross a boundary. I then recognized that I should not and that I was not going to. And then I didn't. I self-corrected. Not that I would have done anything, by the way. It's not like I was going to jump into her lap while she was sitting there and be like, tell me everything. I mean, I just love
a
her.
few vodkas into the flight, and you might
God.
have.
Oh,
you never know.
I always have a lot of like love and empathy for people that if people ever talk to me, because I'm like, I am also that person.
Yeah.
Like I feel that way now with you guys. Like
So we feel it with you.
Just feel so excited that sometimes I just have to say hi. And so I have a lot of empathy for people that do that. It's just, I guess, about how you do it.
That's what we were discussing.
In which you're doing it.
Yeah, because I was
discussed
also
the
saying
same
that
thing.
I flew from Italy to New York at the end of the summer, and I was with 3 of my kids, and there were a bunch of people who asked for pictures, and I was like, I mean, yes, of course, okay, yes, and I just was great. Meanwhile, look like hammered shit, like definitely in my travel self, whatever. And every time they say take a picture, like I guess I just be like, yeah, okay, great. So you think. Because back in the day, that would just be a picture that they send their mom or the person that they watch Grey's Anatomy with or whatever. And it's like that. It lives there. Yeah. Well, no, not anymore. Now, it truly, like, it pops up everywhere. I open Instagram and it's like...
Beanie, what do you get when you're out in the wild? What do people approach you for the most?
Well, I have this running joke where, like, if... a man approaches me, I know just off the bat that they're going to talk about something that I was only a very, very small part of, but has a very loyal fan base, and it's such a wonderful project. But it's called What We Do in the Shadows, which is like the vampire.
Incredible.
And if a man approaches me, like truly 9.5 times out of 10, they're like, Jenna, from What We Do
Are
in
you
the
a
Shadows,
vampire on the show?
I eventually become a vampire. Okay. I get bitten by Natasha's character, and
as one does.
I was, as one does, obviously. And it's such a lovely time, and I learned so much doing that show because they are so funny and like absolute brilliant improvisers. So it's just such a masterclass for me. But I was only on it, I think, for like 6 or 7 episodes right at the beginning of the show. But if a man comes up to me, I'm like,
that's what it is.
If you want to talk about Jen Elf, don't you? And it's very lovely, but it's very consistent. And otherwise, I don't know. I feel so embarrassed even talking about stuff like this, but I would probably say books.
I knew it.
I love it. I love it. I love it.
It's gotta be.
It's so good.
I was just with Caitlin Deaver, who's like truly family to me. And we went on like a little girls trip, just the 2 of us. And it was really magical and very, very special. And just we were reminiscing about all of our times together and filming and how magical it was. And I think she truly is like the Meryl Streep of, she's younger than me, but I'll say my generation, even though she's younger than me. I think she's Meryl. Like, I think she kind of can actually accomplish anything and make it believable, and so human and so open and funny, and just, I think she's so gifted. So I learned so much from her.
I think that everything you said is true, in my opinion. I think that everything you said is true, in my opinion as well, and from my perspective. But as I'm listening to you say that, I think that what I hear the most is the friendship piece. Like when you're really, really in like such a strong relationship, when you're in such a deep friendship with someone, isn't it sort of true that you just think that they are the best? Like I look at this one all the time, and as much as I make fun of her, I'm like, she's the best. Every room she walks into, she makes better. Her laugh she doesn't even have to be funny first. So she can just laugh, and then I'll start laughing. See? and I think that that's just such a gift.
No, it makes work. By the way, it makes work not work.
Yeah. I kind of felt, I couldn't agree more. And I think it was such a kind of wild risk that we did, which was that we decided to live together. I think, it was such a wild risk that we did, which was that we decided to live together after meeting each other twice. And so we lived together while we were filming, which
Wow.
looking back could have gone so
could've
wrong,
gone
but it went
so
right.
I bet it added to the
Um,
chemistry, right?
we were just like together truly 24/7, going to work together, coming home from work together, eating pancakes in our kitchen of the apartment we were in, and running lines, and just really getting to know each other on like a cellular level.
But see that movie,
and
by the way, that relationship, I'm like flashing to it because you guys were both so winning in it, and I think that maybe the biggest piece for me was that it was truly an example of vulnerability as strength. You both were such strong characters. You were so entirely who you were, and you let us know everything that you thought was going to go wrong, or that you felt like there was something missing, or that you weren't good enough, or whatever. And it was just such a window into that dynamic that happens. And again, both of you seeing each other as just the person who hung the moon, right?
yeah, thank you. That's so kind. Yeah, I think, I relate a lot to my character. Obviously, I'm so much older now, but I think like I have that and want to find control in things. And that sort of need to feel in control. And really the trick of life is like we're never in control,
No.
and
Yeah.
you don't get that privilege. So I really empathized with Molly and sort of her obsession with doing the right thing and being in control of every situation, and then learning to just kind of unravel that
Yeah.
as
When do you feel out of control? When are what are the places where you're like, oh, I do that. I don't like to do that. I don't want to move towards that.
I don't love flying,
Mm-hmm.
but not for the reasons that you might think. I am like pretty severely hospital bound allergic to cats. And people can bring their cats on airplanes now. And it has created an anxiety in me that like truly permeates any travel experience, because people can bring, my wife and I have this joke that like every cat is named Mr. Pickles. And so we're like, Mr. Pickles can just like come on the
Show
plane
up.
whenever he wants. And I have to take like insane amounts of antihistamine, and I feel very out of it. And if I'm by myself traveling for work, I feel very like out of control because I'm on like 3 Benadryl and 4 Zyrtec and 5 Allegra, and it's just like
Wait, I have a
kind of a
question.
different
If you're
level.
super allergic to something on a flight, can you flag it before you get on a flight? Can you say, I'm allergic to cats? No, you could just, Mr. Pickles could be your seatmate.
Yeah.
Mr. Pickles has more rights than I do. I've learned this over time. So like the person with the allergy has to get off the plane, not the person with the animal.
Wow.
Mr.
And Mr. Pickles, and my wife and I have this like running bit of like Mr. Pickles strikes again, or like Beanie 1, Mr. Pickles 0. If like there's no
Have
Mr.
you
Pickles
been
I
on
think
the
this is
plane.
a very good excuse to write private air travel into your contracts.
Totally. Wait, I have a question. Have you been on a flight and there's been a Pickles?
So many.
And you had to get off.
So
How did you know?
I either get off if I feel like emotionally I can't
Do it.
do it that day,
Yeah.
or I just take, if I'm with someone, I feel safe enough that I take like 2 Benadryl, sometimes 3, and then I have an EpiPen. Like if
This
God-
is
Have you always been
insane.
this allergic to cats? Your whole life?
yeah.
I'm pretty allergic too. Are you allergic?
To cats? No.
Really?
No, I'm not really allergic to
I-
stuff.
Oh,
Here we
go.
go.
Jessica
See, I can even, I know when
so
she's
perfect.
I'm not perfect. I'm just not allergic. God.
You're not Jewish.
Honorarily on some level.
Yeah.
I got my 23andMe back, and it was, so I get it done, and you're right. It comes back and it's like all German, English, whatever. And then it gives you like little updates. And I get an update. There's an update in my 23andMe. So I log in and I look at it. I'm 1% Jewish.
How do they wait?
I was ready for a bat mitzvah.
No,
I was like,
hands
let's do
on,
this.
Jessica.
We'll do it right now.
This doesn't make
Come on.
any sense.
I know.
Like, why are they updating your blood?
Don't
Do you know what I mean?
don't ask
Like,
questions.
just run it through the
don't.
machine,
Okay,
and then
okay,
it's
okay.
like, wait a second.
Yeah, no, I
we
know.
discovered this week.
Yeah, how did that, like,
why are
come
you
up
getting
later?
updates on it?
Guys, there's things I don't ask questions about, and this would be one of them.
Oh
Fair enough,
my
fair
god.
Okay, can we talk about
I-
you when you were younger for a second?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so Beanie was always allergic to cats.
Yes.
Have you always been Beanie? Does everyone always called you Beanie?
That's a great question. So I've been Beanie since I was like maybe like exclusively Beanie, probably around like 6 months old. But my real name is Elizabeth. I know. And my real name is Elizabeth, and this is actually quite funny because the baby nurse, my mom had, I'm her third kid, and by the time I was born, she had a baby nurse, and the baby nurse was British, and she came up with the nickname Elizabethine.
Oh, that's cute.
And she was like, I call, there's a million Elizabeths in England. I call all my Elizabeths Elizabethine. It's a popular nickname. Then flash forward 25 years later, I meet the person who is now my wife, who is British from Liverpool. And I'm like, yeah, Beanie, obviously it's a very popular nickname for Elizabeth. She's like, I've never heard
I
it
was
once.
literally
Like,
sitting here like, no, Beanie, I'm sat here being like, I've never
You've
heard
never
that
heard anyone
nickname.
say Beanie.
I agree
I
with your
think-
wife.
Yeah, I
You get
think
to
that
live
was
with
just
someone who has an
something.
accent. Oh, I love
Oh, she's such a good
That's
accent.
so
She's a
sexy.
Scouse.
Oh, she's
Accent.
Scouser.
Oh, and does she sound smarter? I feel like English accents make everyone seem smarter. So even if she's saying something that's not very smart, doesn't it sound smart?
She's honestly one of the most brilliant people I've ever met. So most of what she says is smart, but really
But it
the thing
sounds
I think
smarter because of the English
it sounds
accent.
believable.
It sounds
There's just like a
believable.
believability.
Yeah.
Total
Just
credibility,
believe her.
instant credibility.
Okay,
Yeah.
I have,
The
okay.
Brits, they've been around longer. They know things more. I don't know.
Okay, so you said wife, you got married.
Wait, I'm still in
Yes.
a childhood.
Wait,
but okay,
can I just
right,
talk about one thing?
Okay.
Because I want to know this. Beanie, we'll go back to
No,
child.
go ahead, go
Okay, but Beanie, we had a whole episode about bachelorette parties and how out of control they are. So she said, I just want to know if you had a huge bachelorette party, did it last a week? Was there like a private jet involved? What was...
This is the shit we hear about and just put it
I
out.
know,
I need
listen.
to know because we got married a million years ago. It feels like she's a recent.
Okay. So I am from LA. Most of my
Yeah.
extended family's from the East Coast. My wife's family's from Liverpool. A lot of them live in London now, mixture. So we decided to get married on the East Coast because we felt like that was
In
sort of a
between.
central
Yeah.
place. But we also recognized that people were traveling like a huge distance to come celebrate us. And we really did not want to put people out for anything more than that. So neither of us had bachelorette parties because we felt
Yeah.
like it would have been really complicated and more of an expense that anyone, people were doing enough for us to come celebrate us. Like they didn't need to do more. But the week of the wedding, we started the festivities on Friday. On the Wednesday night, my wife went off with her friends in the city for a dinner, and I went off with my friends in the city for a dinner. But the theme of my dinner was pretty good, if I do say so myself, which is that Fawn, my wife, Bonnie, Fawn, is extremely, speaking of allergies, allergic to nuts. She's allergic to
God, you
all
too.
nuts.
You can't go anywhere.
It's honestly,
Jeez.
it's honestly good that we can't procreate together because like our child would have to live in a bubble, like biologically. And so Fawn's allergic to nuts. I'm allergic to dairy, gluten, and cats. And Fawn, so we decided to make. Yeah, I know it's a lot. So in our house, we can't have any nuts because she's like really allergic. And so my best friends decided to make the theme of my dinner Beanie's Last Nuts, which is also a great double
Yeah. I got you. I picked it up.
You got
I
it.
got it.
Love it.
And so it was Beanie's Last Nuts, and my best friend Mel, who also is a huge Grey's Anatomy fan and very excited that I'm here, she drew each one of us as different nuts. So it was like bean nut, and like my friend Catherine was like cat chew. My wife sometimes calls me like the Jewish nut, and she's like, "You were the most like prude, little anxious, little like pathetic."
Well, you know what? Let me just tell you because I'm a bit older than you that there's hope, or if you want it to be. I too used to be quite like proper and now look at me.
You're not. Now you're a mess.
I'm a mess. I'm talking, not a mess. I consider myself evolved.
My mom didn't drink till she was 50. Like she was kind of similar to me where she was kind of like, it's not my thing. It's not for me. Da-da-da. And then
How'd that go at
now
50?
great. She loves a little
She's loving
life.
life. I love it. Okay.
Say again?
So going back. So baby Beanie, Then you grow up in
Yes.
Los Angeles, and then because I'm just getting to a little cross section that you
I
and
know.
Oh, you are.
I was waiting. I was like, well, maybe we will both because, so I went to elementary school in West Hollywood, and then I went to Harvard Westlake, which is
Both of our
something
alma
that we know
maters.
a lot about. And I feel that I had, looking back, like it's so privileged in general. The whole experience there is privilege, but like it's such a privilege to find your people at such a young age. And sometimes it can feel just like a given if you're in the moment of it, of like, yeah, you make friends in high school and you stay friends with them forever. And that's kind of the expectation. But to actually now in our 30s be living that day to day and like committing to that. And we just had my best friend, one of my best friend's weddings 2 weekends ago, and just looking around, we were like, it's still us. Like we could be 15 in someone's parents' house sneaking alcohol right now. Like it's just us. We've been the same for like, almost 17, 18 years now. And it's
so, and how big was the us, the group of friends at Harvard Westlake?
it's like about maybe of the people that went to Harvard Westlake, maybe like 9 or 10.
And were you
now
all performers? Was that your bond at first?
Most of us are performers, definitely. All of us are very like creative. So some like two of my best friends aren't performers, but they one's a graphic designer, one's a music supervisor, like extremely creative and just very talented in their own way, just not on stage people at all. But
And were you performing at Harvard Westlake? Like, were you doing all the plays and the musicals and all that?
Oh my God, yeah, with Mr. Walsh, who I feel like we have to talk.
Did you have the same teacher?
I'm asking. So I'm quite jealous because I happened upon. So we're talking about Mr. Walsh, Ted Walsh, who is like
I love Ted. Me and Ted go way back.
She feels left out. This is what she does when she feels left out.
The old T-bones.
The old T-bones.
He's looking down on you, and he'd be like,
"Oh no, he's dead.
He's passed.
He's
Camilla,
dead.
he's passed. Oh. Way to go! In loving memory, rest in peace, Ted Walsh. He would love that we're talking about him. Love.
Oh my
He would just be
God.
like, "Oh, this is the best podcast ever." Okay. Yeah. Oh my gosh, he would always give it to me really honest too. Anyways. But that's part of it, which was I was actually not in the performing arts kid gang. I was more.
Did you not get in?
Probably not. I didn't. But I sort of came to it late. It's not about me. But I was.
You didn't do any shows at school?
I did. Well, so
She auditioned, but they didn't.
I auditioned. I didn't get it. He actually didn't.
That happened to me a few times.
He actually did. I did audition my senior year. I auditioned for. It was like such a. Okay. So let's backtrack for a second. I clearly had a family that was in the performing arts, and there was sort of this I think that I fought it. I was like, that's too predictable. Of course I'll want to be an actress, blah 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 blah. Who needs that? And then also the perfectionist and the do-gooder and the people pleaser in me was like, what if I suck? Like that would be terrible, right? Then I'd be bad at it. So let's just not even find out. And then right around 14, 15, after I had like just been in my bathroom talking to myself in the mirror and doing monologues and all this stuff, I was like, okay, you clearly want to do this, so you should probably just try. So I had to go away from my community. I went to a summer camp and I did it. And at the end of the summer camp, you get like your evaluations, and fucking Jessica Capshaw just goes in there, and instead everyone else is just wanting to get, how did I do on my monologue and how was my last song and whatever. And I looked at these people squarely in the eye, and they were all lined up on the stage, 3 of them. And I was like, I don't even need my notes. Can I make it? Will I be able to do this as a profession?
For real?
Just went, I'm 15.
Just straight to it.
Because these people would know.
That's what I thought, obviously.
Yeah.
I was like, can I make it in Hollywood? Will my dreams be a reality? They're like, whatever, kid. Anyways, they gave me enough to go on. So when I came back to Harvard Westlake, it must have been my sophomore year, I signed up for an acting class. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. And that's when I met Ted Walsh. And Ted Walsh was, for me, one of the most inspiring teachers I've ever, ever, ever had. And he did so much to help me and grow my confidence and taught me. And I just got an incredible education from him. And we remained friends. And when COVID happened, when it thing. And I reached out to him and I said, how are you doing?
I know.
And he said, I'm doing good. And I said, well, do you want to go for a walk? That seems safe, right? And that walk turned into a weekly walk that I had with him. We would walk around his neighborhood, and he would come to mine sometimes when he would get bored. But those walks were incredible. And of course, he talked about, all of his students, some of whom you would have heard of and some you would not. But he spoke about you and how special you are. And then he also was like, he's also very matter of fact, right? Like that's what you actually really love and respect about a teacher is that they're not just giving you all the good, they're giving you the bad. So I'd done this Netflix movie with Emma Roberts called Holiday, and he hadn't watched it, but he'd heard that I was in it, and so he watched it, and then we went for a walk, and he said, "So I watched that movie." And
Did he give you notes?
He didn't really give me notes. He just gave me an assessment, which was, "You were okay."
Oh my God! Really?
He was like, "You were okay." I mean, it wasn't like great.
I was brushing my teeth. I was thinking about exactly this, and I'm so glad you brought it up because obviously so basically he was truly like my life mentor. So I did Harbor Westlake was doing Sound of Music when I was in 4th grade, and they needed a Gretel. They needed the youngest Von Trapp child, and somehow through basically the headmaster of Harbor Westlake, his wife worked at my elementary school. So she was like, I have a kid that could hang with the big kids. And I walked into Harbor Westlake at 9 years old, and I auditioned to play Gretel in The Sound of Music. And that's when Walsh and I met. So I've known him like pretty much my entire life. And I would say he is my greatest mentor, my greatest teacher, my greatest friend, second grandfather, all of the things. And when I was brushing my teeth today, I was thinking about this podcast, and I was thinking about you and how when him and I spoke during the pandemic, he said, and I think it was Wednesdays, every Wednesday, Jessica and I go on a walk. It's my favorite part of the week. And I think you really gave him so much during what ended up being his last years. And I feel jealous and grateful that you were, I could cry, like there with him. Yeah, obviously. But I think he cherished those walks. And the most nervous I've ever been in my entire life is when Walsh is in the audience. There is no one that, and I feel sad that I'll never have that. I'll never have that honesty again.
But when he came to New York to see you in the show, and I mean, it was Wednesdays with Walsh, and it meant a lot to both of us. And it's that your story reminds me of is when I was in high school, we did The King and I. That was the part that I auditioned for that he didn't give me, and I was very mad at him about that. Anyways, we digress. I really, really thought that I could be that part. So Jake Gyllenhaal came over from the lower school to play one of the kids.
No way.
So because he was younger.
Why did I think Harbor Westlake was just high school?
It's middle.
It's 7.
Yeah, 7th through 12th.
Oh, okay.
There's a middle school campus and there's an upper school campus.
Oh.
No, having someone believe in you like that is so incredible. And that's why I do think that, for all the people out there listening, that relationship, wherever you can find it, and obviously he was a super special guy, but looking for people in your community that can help you grow or that take an interest in you and support you and can really show up for you it was an unbelievable gift.
I think also for all the teachers listening, like, thank you and keep going, because if you can have that effect on one child or one person or one family, it's just very profound. And since he's passed, I started volunteering with kids, and actually I'm now on the board of, but I volunteer for this organization called Experience Camps, which is a nonprofit organization that puts on camps for kids that are grieving.
I know, I've seen this on your Instagram, and I was talking
Yeah.
about it before because I lost my mom when I was young, Beanie, and these camps would have been like, I had younger siblings. I was 19, but I had younger siblings, and honestly, I literally saw you post one summer, maybe 2 summers ago. Did you start 2 years ago?
Yeah, that was my first year.
Yeah. And I thought, oh my gosh, I should go volunteer, but I think I would be terrible. I think I would just cry the whole time.
But that's also okay. We can talk about it off
Okay.
camera, but come with
I get
me,
that.
come with me to Maine. It's truly, truly changed my entire life, just that community. But I think about Walt so much when I'm there because if I could have like a 80th of the effect on one of those kids that he had on me, um, it would just be like my greatest life's work, I think.
Well, I do want to talk about the camp just in case there are people listening that have kids that are going through, have lost somebody and are going experiencing grief.
Yeah.
And what grief is. Can you talk about it a little bit so that because maybe someone's listening and they don't know about it and they want to send someone.
So for context, my brother suddenly passed away almost 7 years ago. And he has two children who are like the lights of all of our lives. One of them's at Harbor Westlake. And they're just the best thing to ever happen to our family. But, I just had rattled my family in a way that kind of there are no words for. So I was on TikTok one day and just scrolling away. And I was given this video of a little boy. I think he was maybe 9 or 10. And he was talking about his father passing away and how camp has helped him find community. All of these like light bulbs are going off in my head because I went to summer camp for 10 years. Couldn't be more of a camp girl. My parents met at summer camp. Like camp is in our DNA. So the camp component of it, I was like, what is he talking about? But obviously the more substantial component of it was the loss and a child speaking so openly and bravely about loss. So I Googled the camp. I go down this like intense rabbit hole about the camp. And I cold DM the Instagram account because I can't find an email. And I just was like, anything I can do to help, I'll donate, I'll make a video, anything I can do to help. The girl that runs head of marketing at Experience Camps, her name is Jessie. She's incredible. We get on a Zoom and she's like, can I ask you, or actually, I think I asked her first, how'd you come to Experience Camps? And she said, I was a volunteer after my brother Jordan died. And why are you interested in Experience Camps, Beanie? And I was like, because my brother Jordan died. And we sort of just stared at each other across this Zoom. I even have chills when I tell the story. But we just truly, we had never met before. Now we're very close friends. And we just stared at each other on this Zoom. We'd been talking for 5 minutes. And she was like, I think you need to come to camp. She was like, I'll take any donation, big or small, from anybody. But like, it's clear to me that you have like a pull to be in our community deeper. And I would say the same thing to you. It sounds like you might have a pull to be in our community deeper. And I think it's just an incredibly special place. So it's completely no cost. So any family can access the camp. Currently, we have 13 programs around the country. So there's one in Hawaii, California, Michigan, Georgia, Maryland, Pennsylvania, Maine, and then most of them have a boys camp and a girls camp. So together it's about 13. And we're servicing, I think, about 1,400 kids.
Wow.
Each.
And what's the age range?
Going into 9th grade through senior year of high school. So you never have to say goodbye to the camp. So if you come to the camp, you're always welcome back every summer because we don't want to kind of add more loss into their lives. Yes. So once you graduate high school, you're welcome to come back as a junior counselor and then a counselor.
And do you see is it truly this healing experience you think for a lot of kids? Grief is so hard, loss is so difficult. So what do you see?
It's like the most profound experience I think any of us that have been there, young or old, kids or volunteers, have ever had. And I think the magic of experience camps is like the joy, which I know sounds so paradoxical or counterintuitive, but when you know that you're surrounded by people that understand, like in their bones, understand, you can let loose and you can be vulnerable, but you also can jump in the lake and be silly and sing Taylor Swift at the top of your lungs and make friendship bracelets and talk about your people or not talk about your people and know that you're in a space of people that will support you no matter what and will catch you. And I think
And that you're
because
not
of that,
alone.
Yeah.
yeah,
And because it's also very complicated in loss and grief, because you think, or I think a lot of people think that the loss and grief is all one thing. It's sad. It's just absolutely sad. And of course we're humans, so actually, we would just shrivel up and die if we were always sad.
yeah,
And I think that it's the paradox of knowing that you can go to a camp where everyone is feeling loss and grief, and they're understanding the highs and lows of it, that they're understanding that they can sing and dance, and they can also cry, and they and that's and not feel alone.
really the magic of the camp is like an hour a day. We at least 1 hour a day, sometimes two. We talk about grief very specifically with licensed clinicians and counselors. And then when the bell goes off and the hour is over, we get up and we go to soccer or we go
That's
volleyball.
so amazing.
And you found them
Beanie.
through social media.
I found them through
Isn't that-
TikTok.
Oh, TikTok.
No, this is
the power of social media for good.
This is when I believe I have to stay on it. Because I'm like,
Exactly.
I wouldn't have known about this thing. And I feel very privileged because of acting. I get to spread the word about it and hopefully bring more,
I love this so much. I love that we're talking about this.
Do you find yourself on TikTok, or what's the social? So I was just saying that I have, like, I go immediately to Instagram. Like my fingers, I don't even know. All the things that Tristan Harris says are true. There's some dopamine hit. I don't know what happens. All of a sudden my fingers are just on Instagram. I didn't even try to do it, and I'm there. Where do you go?
I'm a little bit of everything. I do have like, no one makes fun of me harder than my wife about this, but like I have a deep YouTube kind of thing where I just
never go on YouTube. Do you go on YouTube?
Wait, say more. Where are you going? Where
Where
are you going deeply in YouTube?
I just go, I follow people that she's like, do these people have any other viewers other than you? Like I think you're actually the only one. And I just will find the most random people and get parasocially attached to them. I just need to.
It's real.
You're keeping their channel alive,
It's
Beanie.
real.
Yeah, I need to like watch them, unbox a candle that I'm allergic to and can't ever buy. Just like something that
I love
I need in my life.
Yeah.
And therapy. It calms my brain down.
So if you go on Instagram, do you ever get that thing? I've explained it a couple times where like I'll somehow be on someone's page that I don't even know, but I go down the rabbit hole and I'm looking at their whole life and I do the comparison thing. That's lethal. Like you should never do it, but I do it, and at least I can recognize that I've done it and like pull myself back from the ledge. Is there any account or scrolling through Instagram where you're like, I got to stop doing that. I got to stop looking at that person.
I have to be honest. Like my mom and I talk about this a lot because not to out her on your podcast, but she really can go down that hole fast. Like this person is so happy and they're on this vacation or they have this thing or, look at their holiday celebrations or whatever it is. And I'm like, Mom, this is 1/80th of their day. This is one.
Yeah.
They're not videoing the car backfiring or the family fight or or like spilling coffee all over themselves, whatever it is. Like they're not filming the humanness of their day. They're just trying to make themselves feel better and put out something that's curated and beautiful and digestible and all those things. So I walk her off that ledge quite a bit.
Tell her to follow me. She's never gonna sit there and scroll and be like, God, she
100% does. My mom,
there's no glamour.
No one loves Grace more than me and my mom. It's our thing that we did together.
I know. I remember I met her on a lot.
God. Oh, yeah. And
why did I meet her? Why was she there? She was friends with someone. I literally met her on the lot. She was, she said, because she introduced herself to me.
Oh, because you know why, Beanie? Because you snuck onto the lot during Beanie's episode.
But my mom didn't.
No. This was way before. Because she came up to me, and now we're like offline, but she came up to me because I think she'd met my sister, Sasha, maybe through Max and Jonas. So like she came up and she was like she was like, felt like she knew me.
Why was she there?
I have no idea. I think she was friends with some. Ask her about it.
Beanie, what if you find out that your mom was a character on the show before you? And you just did like a huge recurring.
I have to figure this out because she's never been. I just feel like I need to bring into the space that she did let me miss school the day after George died. I had to.
Oh my God, that's such a fan. I love it.
She let you
literally
miss school
You were in
had to
mourning.
miss
after
Harvard
the
Westlake,
tragic
which like
death
not
of George.
easy to miss a day of Harvard Westlake.
Yeah.
No,
and
it
catch
wasn't.
up.
Was the call that
I-
she made that Georgia died?
Yeah,
I think
you
she
need
just was
to
like,
get off school
I
today.
think I was
because George
old
has
enough
died.
that she didn't have to call, but it was sort of like, you can miss. And I was like, I can't speak to anyone or do anything for 24
So
hours.
I inherited his trailer when he left. That's the
Yes.
trailer I got,
Mm-hmm.
and so I was there 5th season. So I think that was the season that he died at the end of that,
I
right?
think so.
And I remember it being like super top secret when he when he comes back and he does the scene where he comes out of the elevator.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
That was super top secret. Like I don't even actually think I knew it then. I
Did,
think I
did
saw
you
the
have to
episode.
exit the trailer when he came back?
No, I mean, no, because the next season I was made a regular. So he
Okay,
finished
yeah,
out
yeah.
his season in that trailer. And then,
Okay.
and then I remember he had left some things in it. And I found them and I remember being like, what do I do with this thing? I could probably sell this on eBay for a lot of money.
Yeah.
No wonder
Yeah.
you were probably, no, I just can't say, it feels wrong to say maybe, but like my two favorite characters, maybe it was the trailer.
It was the trailer. It was the trailer.
I also feel like I need to bring into the space that looking back, definitely Calzona was my gay awakening and I just didn't see it.
Oh,
I feel like that's
really?
a lot of
Wait,
people's gay awakening.
I didn't know this. So wait, you had not, wait, tell me this. What?
Was obsessed on a different level. And looking back, I'm like, oh, there's so many kind of signs. I think a lot of,
Because you were not out yet.
no, I think, but not
Because I don't know your story. When did you come out?
So it wasn't that I was like keeping something inside that I was not letting out. It was like I hadn't put the pieces, they hadn't clicked in
Yeah.
together in my own body. And
Yeah.
then the second I knew, I came out kind of immediately once I figured out, because I'm incapable of keeping anything inside my brain and body. I'm
And we
extremely
love that
external
about you.
person.
We have benefited from that.
Yeah, my wife was like, honestly, like the speed at which you kind of put the pieces together. We started dating and then came out was like 24 hours. But I think it's a much more common queer experience than I think people talk about often. And I think the show really did a great job of that with Callie, of like you think you're one thing, everyone tells you one thing, and you're not mad at that thing. It's just something maybe doesn't feel 100% right. It wasn't like I was like, the men I've dated in the past, I have great fondness for, and they were good, nice people, and everything was fine. But there was just something missing.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't understand. I always say I didn't understand songs. Like I didn't understand songs until I met Vaughn, and then I was like, these songs make sense.
that
Like
is
these
the
songs.
That's very romantic.
Yes, that's very romantic and very like just very eloquent.
Thank you. But looking back, the writing was on the wall with the calzone.
I love that. I love that.
You hear that? I feel like we hear that.
We hear that. Yeah, no,
Because weren't you? I mean, how many gay couples were on TV?
there were not. And as a matter of fact, and obviously Callie's journey and Arizona's journey were very different.
Very different.
And Arizona's was very much, she was so resolved about it.
Yeah.
There was just no apology. There was no doubt. There was no maybe. There was this is who I am.
Unapologetic.
I've known I know who I am. I've always known who I am, and this is who I am. And I think,
In fact, when we go to conventions, people have her, like they have you write quotes, right, on stuff, or maybe they want tattoos. And your quote that you always get is,
well, there's the good man in a storm.
but there's the one that's like, I'm the gayest.
Oh, the gayest of gays. I'm lesbianic.
Yes,
Lesbianic?
yes. And I think but I think it sums up who Arizona is. And it's just like unapologetic you're talking about.
Yeah.
I think that's why people love that quote.
Yeah. And as an actor, I would always sort of say to the writers, like, but don't I have to have like some, like, isn't that like my obstacle? Like, doesn't there have to be something where she doubts something? And they were always, which I think absolutely came from Shonda, it was always hard no, she knows who she is. And I was like, all right, I guess I just don't play the conflict.
But I think that's so great.
Yeah, I love
know. No. Looking back on it now, I was just being an actress being like, give me
you
some
always
more to
want
play with. But
yeah.
And then they took your leg and you were like, okay.
You know, and by the way, that just felt, you know what? I know. Yeah.
Like, I asked for conflict and here I am.
Yeah. I have loved having you here. I feel like there's just another layer of you that I know, and I'm going to hold it close. And And I hope that I wish you the very, very, very best. And I hope that you come back on again.
And I just have to say, when we first started this podcast, before we'd even done the first one, they were like, give us a list of people that you want on the pod. And you were on my list. I was like, Beanie.
It's true.
I have to say the same thing back, which is like, I only want to do these types of things with people that I really like adore and people that I know, it's a lot to like bare your soul.
I know it is. Yeah.
And the second it came in, it was like, yes, it was the same thing when the actual Grey's offer came in. I was like, my manifesting is.
I love it.
Oh my gosh, Beanie for the win.
You are welcome to come back on any time, Beanie.
Thank you guys so much.
Bye.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.